we made it happen. We made it happen.
Third time's the charm, right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Shelly. Good to see you.
So great to see you. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, it's really great. I was actually just about to, hi everyone who's popping in. I was about to tell the viewers a little bit about how I connected with Pinwheel. And I just want to say that I think you're a part of the same Facebook group that I'm in, which is the Parenting in the Tech World. And I feel like more than any other question, and there are a lot of questions every day that parents are asking, but the question that comes up the most, but like by a lot, is what first phone should I get my kid? Like parents are so stressed out about this, and you and I have obviously gone through this whole thing ourselves. And so I just felt, now that I'm connected to Pinwheel, and I'll talk about that a little bit, I just felt like I would love to give parents a chance to get some information right from the source, right from Pinwheel, because everyone has so many questions and it's confusing. But anyways, before we dive in, I just want to explain, because I don't usually endorse products very much. I don't affiliate myself with products, but I feel really, really strongly about this one. And I took a long time before I was willing to connect myself to a product that I thought was a good first phone for kids. And the way that this happened for me was that, I found out about the Pinwheel. I heard some rumblings. I went and looked into it. I loved what I saw online. I watched videos, that the guys who created Pinwheel and everything. And I felt like I would really like to give this a test run and see if it's something that I feel I can recommend to my clients. And so I reached out, and you guys were so amazing and right away got back to me and said, we would love for you to test this out with your son. My son's 11 and a half. We'll send you the phone, try it out. If it feels like a good fit and you like how it's working, then let's see if you want to work with us. And so we got the phone. The cutest package like I've ever seen. I love the packaging. I mean, I'm sort of a design person, so that's, oh, you've got it right there. It comes in like just the most like adorable box. And then you open it up and you're like, oh, this is a legitimate phone. This is not a toy. This is not like a silly kid's phone. This is a phone. Anyway, I'll talk about that more later, but that's how I got connected. I've been trying out the phone for the past almost 6 weeks, maybe, or 4 weeks. And I'm just really happy with it. So, Shelly, why don't you just briefly introduce yourself and, who you are, what you do for Pinwheel, and then, let's dive in and talk about the phone.
Absolutely. I love it. So I'm Shelly Delane. I'm the chief mom at Pinwheel, and I came to Pinwheel in sort of the same way you did, Julia, that I was looking for a solution for my own daughter, and I was not happy with anything I found out there until I found Pinwheel. And once I found Pinwheel, I felt so strongly about it. I was like, I'm devoting the next phase of my life to this, because I believe so firmly in a different kind of tech journey for our kids. Like, we can do better. And so with Pinwheel, my role has evolved. I've had my hands in everything, but now my focus is mostly on understanding where parents are and what those struggles are. So yeah, I read the Bark Facebook group obsessively. And yeah, that conversation is omnipresent, and I want to hug every single parent that's going through it, because I'm like, it's not hopeless, I promise. So I focus a lot on understanding the parent journey and on collaborating with educators and researchers and other child development experts on developing and curating more resources and materials for parents to understand the conversation that goes along with it. Because really, Pinwheel is a tool designed to support a whole conversation. And that's one of the things I love about it. So like, that's one of the reasons I was so excited when we met you, because as soon as I saw like you teach to tweens and you have like, you understand those conversations, I'm like, yes, like, bring it. Because because Pinwheel's a tool specifically designed for this purpose.
Yeah.
And I love bringing the research and the parent understanding back to the product team and saying, okay, this is what we need to look at because parents need this. Like, we need to evolve it this way because kids need this. Like,
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
all of those things tie together. So that's
Yeah,
my
and
place in the ecosystem.
I think what's so great about it is that, Pinwheel was started by parents who had the same concerns, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that. But what really makes that different from like a large corporation, trying to make a phone that fits a certain market is that, when it's started by parents with this intention, they want to hear from parents and they want our feedback. And there's actually, like, on the parent portal, there's an option where you can write in, I would love to see this app, on the phone. And so there's this sort of communication back and forth. So maybe you can just talk a little bit about, how the Pinwheel phone came about. And then I'd love to sort of, because there are some other, not a lot of other options, but there are some other options. And so I really want to talk about what makes Pinwheel different. But first, tell people a little bit about sort of where Pinwheel came from.
Absolutely. So the co-founders of Pinwheel are Dane Whitbeck and Isaiah McPeak, and both of them are fathers, and both of them are entrepreneurs and understand the startup world and what it takes to start a new thing in the world and innovate in a space that's never been done before. So both of them looked at their children and were looking at options out there for their kids in technology. And they both had reached the conclusion, there's a better way to do this. And really, it sort of has to come from a startup, because in a big established company, you've got so many other layers to work through. And when something's truly new, you have to have the nimbleness to understand where people really are, not where you assume they are, but where they really are and what will really help. So yeah, Dane was like, let's do this. And they launched 2 years, a little over 2 years ago now, and worked on development and research and research and research and research.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I discovered recently in their initial research, which is why I love the thoughtfulness that they put in from day one, was, and this was key, I discovered, to how Pinwheel got shaped the way it did. And that was, most kids in the focus groups and research they did directly with kids said, I want a phone. And almost all of them had no idea why.
Right.
They couldn't articulate what they would do with it. They just know everybody has a phone. All the big people have a phone. I want a phone. Got to have a phone. And the opportunity that they saw in that was, well, if we give them a good choice set, we establish for them what you have a phone for.
Yeah.
We can teach them how to use it as a tool and not a time-wasting toy. And that has the potential to change everything. And that's exactly the way that's been.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're really extraordinary, both of them.
Yeah. So one thing that I've noticed in my research, so the thing that I was always coming up against, because parents will always ask me, what should I get? Oh, someone says they're really happy with the Pinwheel phone they got for their daughter. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Was that, people would say, well, what's the best option? And I would say, well, I'm going to be really honest with you. There's no great option, and I'd be like, you could do a flip phone. Your kid's going to hate you and be embarrassed. You can do an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever, but you're going to spend a lot of money and a lot of energy on like clamping down on it. And there's so many ways around everything. So just be prepared for that. And I'm really like, I just keep preaching, like, this is not a phone anymore. This should not be called a phone. It is not a phone. It is a supercomputer, right? If we want our kids to have a phone, then we should give them a phone. Yes, it's more than the landline we used to have, but it doesn't have to be the supercomputer that, the phones that adults have. So, and then, I saw some other options out there that were made specifically for kids, but I could tell right off the bat the kids would be like, this is babyish. You know, like I look like the kid whose mommy bought them like the dumb bit kid thing. And
Yeah.
no kid wants to feel that way. And so what really sort of struck me about Pinwheel, and I think this is kind of a big deal, is that it feels like a real phone. I mean, to be honest, I think any adult would be comfortable using this phone. It is actually like it visually looks exactly like my phone. It's a good phone, has a great camera. It has, you know, all the sort of features that you would expect from a good, proper phone. And what I really like about it is that it's not just creating its own apps that are like proprietary to Pinwheel. It's selectively choosing apps that exist out in the world that kids know about, that parents know about, that are not some like obscure, weird thing, and selecting them based on these are okay for kids. Like these are not going to be addictive and these are not going to farm all of their information. And so it's very selective, but I love that they're apps that my kid knows. So when we got the phone and he was like, oh, I can have my Spotify account on there. I was like, yep, you can have Spotify on there. You can have your, you know, access to your Google Drive. You can have WhatsApp to chat with me, you know, you can have Canva to make posters that you like to make. Okay,
Yeah.
someone's asking about the examples of some of the apps. Do you want to speak a little more to, there's a lot of apps
There
available
are.
on there. And my sense, Shelley, is that there's more coming as well. So I think I mentioned there's iTunes, Amazon, right? iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible. There's like Life 360,
Yeah.
um,
And Bark. Um,
Bark, of course. There's Bark
and there's
for
also like,
monitoring.
yeah, there's currently, I think about, I'd have to look at the current count, but I think there's about 150 apps presently. And
Yeah,
there's a whole team of people who review and test and examine apps because so many apps have access to the whole internet inside them and all of that. So there's a pretty thorough review process.
yeah,
But there's so many great apps. There's Khan Academy and Prodigy and IXL and other educational apps for kids that
yeah.
get used a lot. There's a lot of the apps that get used by schools for remote
Hmm.
learning, like Seesaw and Zoom and things like that. So if kids are using it for remote school, they can do
Yeah.
that. There's mindfulness and wellness apps, like meditation
Yes.
apps and learning to meditate. And oh, there's one, this is okay, this is girl kids specific, but I was so excited to see this one. There's a new period tracker that's specifically designed for younger users because most of the other ones that are on the market are designed really for adults, and they ask questions about things that sometimes parents are like, I really don't want this one asking my
Right.
13-year-old about her sex life, because a lot of the apps out there do that, and this one's specifically for kids. So I love when they find stuff that's really age appropriate and that allows parents to choose what's appropriate for their kid when there are.
Right. So I just want to address that because someone's
Oh
saying
yeah.
like maybe there's too many apps. Like why do we need
Yes.
this many? So just to be clear, the way that the phone works is that there is no app store and there's no app, like you as the parent have total control through a parental platform, a parental dashboard, which apps you want on your kid's phone. So there are 100 apps to choose from, but you could say like these 5 are good and just put those 5. And on top of that, Shelley, can you talk about the modes? Because the modes are so cool.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because that has been something that's been so helpful with my own daughter, that you can choose whichever apps you want, and you get to choose what time of day any particular app is available. So like if I want my daughter to have access to Messenger Kids, which is one of her personal favorites because her friends all use it, she's only 9. So, and I know that I don't want her messaging her friends after a certain time of night. So after 8 o'clock at night, that app just goes away from the phone because I've set it up that way. And it's a really great feature. It helps kids understand the rhythm of a day and what's appropriate when. And that works for contacts also. Like the Pinwheel phone can only call and text numbers that the caregiver approves remotely in the caregiver portal. And you can also choose what time of day each contact is available. So if you want them to be able to reach family at certain times, but not their friends at 2 o'clock in the morning or not during school hours, you can set it up to do that until they learn to self-manage that.
Right.
And that's the other thing with that sets it apart for me from some of the other things out there. There's so many things out there are really built to do one of two things, either to lock down an adult device and just restrict, or to be babyish and just not have those things there. But the whole point of Pinwheel is that you can configure it to be appropriate for whatever your kid is capable of right now. And it can grow with them as they grow, which lets them see it's not just a static, dumb kid's phone.
Yeah.
There's a limited choice set to begin with so they can learn to handle each thing responsibly. And then they get more things.
Yeah.
And then they eventually progress to having an adult phone.
Yeah.
And when they do get it, they're able to handle it.
I mean, I think it's so great. The modes, it's so smart. I mean, I wish I could do that on my phone, honestly. So for my son, I did, I have morning mode. And so morning mode, like he can have his music, and I don't know what else I put on there, a meditation app, and like, connecting with some friends. And then during the school day hours, so let's say from 9 to 3, it's in school mode. And in school mode, he can't really do anything on there other than contact his emergency contacts and access anything maybe he would need for school. And then it goes into after school mode, where things open up for him on the phone if he needs it. Now, I will say, though, that, and I think this is a good thing, like he's not that interested in being on the phone, because there's just not that much on there that's sucking him in. So other than when he's connecting with a friend, or maybe he's listening to some music, like there's nothing that where he's like killing time and he's like, let me just see what's on my phone to kill some time, or, because there's just those apps aren't on there, those time wasters, the games, the social media, and there's no access to a browser. So he literally, like, he's not gravitating to the phone in the way that we all sort of addictively gravitate to the phone. And I love that. He's literally only using it when he needs to use it, which is exactly what I want.
That makes me so happy to hear, because it's a beautiful thing. And I will tell you that within the last couple months actually shifted the way, because my daughter also has access to an iPad that she uses for some of her drawing and the games that need supervision and that sort of thing. And that exact fact with the Pinwheel changed the way I supervise or coach her around using the iPad, in that now, and this is working really well, she has to choose what it is she's going to do on the iPad before she gets to pick it up. So she's not subject to the scrolling through and choosing which app is like screaming at her. Just to think about what she has and what she wants to sit down and do, and choose it before she picks up the device. Because I recognized with the Pinwheel how much I love that the phone itself provides that. But then on other devices, you sort of have to create that. But the understanding is helpful.
Totally. And I think, like my kid asked me, like, I just wish it had Discord, which is an app that he uses to chat with friends he games with sometimes. And I said, well, you know what? I don't see a reason why you would need Discord in your pocket all the time, everywhere you're going. And you have access to that at home on your iPad. So it's like, if they want other things, they may have those other things, right? They may have it on a computer at home, or they may have it on an iPad at home. But does that mean that they need to have it with them 24/7 everywhere that they go? Probably not. Like, it's at least not at this age. They can just have the basics that they need. So, I feel like it's not like you get them this phone and all of a sudden they're like, well, now I can never do this with my friends. No, you can still do that. Do it at home when you have time on your iPad, right? So I feel like it works out, it balances anyway, even for the kids who want more. they probably have access to more at home anyway.
Exactly. And I do tend to think about it in terms of like their whole tech stack, like all the things they have available to them at school, at home, everywhere they go. And the thing that I love about the Pinwheel is that it's the device I don't have to worry about her having. Like she can take it with her anywhere and I don't have to be like, everything else she has access to, I'm always a little watchful, and it's a lot more work. Like because Pinwheel is managed remotely and like I can check on it on my computer, I can change things, I can do all the things without having to get the device from her.
Yeah.
And I know that the things that are on it are not going to be harmful for her.
Yeah.
I love the freedom of that. Like that alone helps my peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great for, especially if you've got, a tween and all of a sudden they're going to a school that's farther away. Or I get a lot of clients who, like, maybe they're divorced and so they want to be able to be in touch with their kid, but they don't want to have to give their kid an actual adult phone. And so it fills this space, really, really well, this kind of tween space where you just feel like I'm not ready to load you up with a full thing, but I may actually want to be able to get in touch with you sometimes. And so it's like just perfect for this space. I just want to look at my questions that I have here because I want to make sure that, because I got a couple of questions.
Awesome.
Does somebody had asked, like, does it matter what cell carrier that you're with?
That's so it does work on any GSM network. Cell service is one of those things. I have learned so much about cellular service in the last year. I had no idea. I had never experienced having an unlocked device where you like go to a carrier and just get a SIM card from them to put in the phone. Like that was all new to me. So
yeah,
I've learned a lot. But I've learned that the nice thing about that is like you can use it there's a Verizon model phone, and then I'm currently using a company called Freedom Pop with my daughters. I was using T-Mobile, but the coverage was not the best at all. So I switched to Freedom Pop and it's been great. But the nice thing is that you can pick what works best in your area.
Yeah,
we
use T-Mobile. We use T-Mobile. It's fine. It's perfect. Someone's asking about the ability to read texts. Do you want to address that, Shelley?
Yeah, that's from the parent portal. You have visibility of their complete text history and they can't delete texts. Like you'll see them in the text history no matter what. I actually use a layered approach with that. Do you use Bark for your sons? Because
I don't use it yet. I haven't found that I've needed it. He barely takes the phone anywhere or does. So, but it's my number one sort of go-to that I recommend for parents when they feel they do need to do some extra monitoring. I think it's amazing.
Totally. And for me, like I started using it just because we were partnering with Bark. And I wanted to make sure I understood it better and like, what's that like and all of that. And I've realized that, as the volume of texting gets bigger as kids get a little older, reading through their whole history is a little daunting. And understanding what the emojis mean that they're throwing back and forth and what the slang terms mean. And like all of that is a lot to keep up with. So one of the things that I love about Bark on Pinwheel is it's like, you get a flag, there's something to go look at. You can go to your computer and look at it, have your freak out reaction if one is warranted, and calm down and decide how you want to address it before they get home. Because I've seen too many friends go through the drama of give me your phone, checking the phone, reading something that they weren't expecting, and freaking out. And the way that impacts their relationship and their kids' willingness, it's not good. So like that's one of the things I've come to appreciate about the text history that I wasn't expecting is just the calm down period for parents. Kind of valuable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So valuable. And I think that hopefully, both of these tools, the Pinwheel phone and Bark, we don't want to just be hounding our kids and watching their every move. And it's stressful for us. It makes them more inclined to sneak around or to try to sneak around. But you know, there are a lot of dangerous things out there once your kids get a little bit more into other social apps, third-party apps. And so to have the ability to broach a subject and to have a conversation back and forth and to say, hey, you know, this, I'm just trying to protect you and I've got your back. So I feel like it's really valuable. And also, you know, even though I think with just the Pinwheel parent dashboard, you can read the texts that go through the Pinwheel messenger. I don't think you can read the text. If your kid's using Facebook Messenger on there, kids
Then you
messenger
have
for
to go
kids,
to that
then,
app
and
to
you
read.
want to see that, you're going to need something like Bark, which comes on the phone. And then someone asked, and Shelly, I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this or if Genevieve is in the chat, but someone had asked if Pinwheel gives any deals if you're buying for multiple kids in your family.
There is a discount on the monthly subscription. So Pinwheel there's a one-time purchase price for whichever phone model you get. And then there's a monthly subscription for the software that runs it and the parent portal and all of that. And then there's whatever you pay your cell service provider for your cell service plan. And I know that for families, we do have a discount for subsequent kids. So I don't believe there's a discount on the phone purchase itself. I could be wrong on that though.
Okay.
But I know that there's a discount. So the monthly subscription is like $15 for the first child phone and then like $5 a month for additional kids.
Okay, great. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, we actually have a number of parents that I've talked to who have big families.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that come up quite a bit actually in that Facebook group we were talking about. So I want to wrap it up, but I also just want to tell people about a giveaway that we're doing, which I'm excited about. I'm very excited about, and is going to actually, the post about it is going to go live on my Instagram in about 15 minutes or so. And we're going to give away, Pinwheel is very generously going to give away a phone. And a month free of the software. And I'm going to give away a 1-hour consultation, private consultation. So we're working together. We want to, you know, give this to parents, get them on board, help them through whatever struggles they're having to set their kids up. So I definitely want to make sure that, you know, anybody on here, you can tell a friend or whatever, but definitely check back in on my Instagram. And
I am so going to go share that because I love that you're throwing in a consultation with that because that's so important. And like, I'm like, okay, I want to know how that goes with them because because it's such a part of that conversation. I love that you're doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important. It's such a big step for parents. If they are going to give that first phone, you know, let's talk about all the things that might come up. Let's help set up maybe, you know, maybe a plan for the family or for your child, just to kind of like work through those kinks. So, you know, I'm really excited to give somebody that free consult and, you know, to have somebody try out the Pinwheel. Like I said, I'm a believer, I'm a convert. I've never done like a full affiliation with anything before, and I feel really comfortable doing it with Pinwheel. So I'm excited about the giveaway. So definitely check in on that. Yeah. And if you're not already following Pinwheel on Instagram, follow them too, because they're going to have the giveaway there and just good tidbits and information. And they bring on also other experts and talk to people and do webinars. So they're a great resource too. Let me just look at what someone's asking now. Start with an iPhone, but it's nothing but stress. Yes, this is a good option. It is stressful to start with an iPhone. It's just like, it's too much, you know, it's too much. It's the whole world in a little kid's pocket. And like, you know, even aside from the social media, aside from the gaming, it's like, you know, it's stressful to have all that information at your fingertips, all those choices at your fingertips. The news is right there. It's just so overwhelming, and kids at this age are kind of overwhelmed anyway. So to add this, yes, like it looks exciting and shiny, but in my experience with the parents I work with, the kids I work with, it ends up being very, very stressful for them.
Agreed. And I love hearing you say things like that because I know how many parents you've talked to and how deeply you know that. So I love how much we're on the same page because we need so many people like in this journey to help the next generation of kids have better experience with tech.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you, Shelley. It was so good to talk to you. And, you know, if I get any other questions, I can connect people with you.
Anytime.
And I think both of us are here, you know, to answer any questions. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining us. And thank you, Shelley.
Thank you
Talk to
so
you
much. See you
soon.
soon.
Okay.
Bye.